The young woman moved between the tables like a ghost. Nobody really looked at her. She was just there to bring food and take away dirty plates. That was how it had been for 3 years now. She worked at a fancy restaurant called the Sterling Rose. Rich people came there every night. They wore expensive clothes and talked about important things. They made deals worth more money than she would see in her whole life, and she just cleaned up after them. Her name was Lisa, and she was 26 years old. She had learned to be invisible here. It was easier that way. The customers did not want to see the people who served them. They wanted their water glasses full and their tables clean. They wanted to pretend the food just appeared by magic. The manager was a man named Richard. He was not a kind person. He never said please or thank you to the workers. He only gave orders. "Table 7 needs more bread," Richard said sharply as Lisa walked past him. His voice was cold and rough. "I will bring it right away," Lisa said quietly. She was already moving toward the kitchen. She picked up a basket of warm bread and brought it to table 7. The people there did not look up. They did not say thank you. She was used to this. She set down the basket and walked away. But tonight was different. Tonight felt special, even though Lisa did not know why yet. The restaurant was hosting a big event. Rich people from all over the city were coming. They called it a charity gala. It was a night where wealthy people gave money and felt good about themselves. The restaurant looked different too. There were flowers everywhere. Candles glowed on every table. And in the corner, near the big windows that looked out at the city lights, there was a grand piano. Lisa had seen them bring the piano in that afternoon. When she first saw it, her heart had jumped. Her fingers had started to tingle. She felt something deep inside her chest, something that hurt and felt wonderful at the same time. She had not touched a piano in 2 years. Not since her mother died. Not since the medical bills came and took everything away. They lost their small apartment. They lost the piano that had lived in their living room. Lisa lost her place at the music school where she had been studying. All of it was gone now. Lisa loved the piano more than anything in the world. When she was a little girl, her mother had taught her to play. They would sit together at their old piano for hours. Her mother would show her where to put her fingers. She would teach her the songs. "Music is magic," her mother used to say. "When you play, you can say things that words cannot say. You can make people feel things they have forgotten how to feel." Lisa had been good at piano. Very good. So good that she got a scholarship to the music conservatory. It was the best music school in the city. She was going to be a concert pianist. She was going to play on big stages. That was her dream. But then her mother got sick. Cancer. The doctor said they could help, but the treatments cost so much money. More money than they had. More money than Lisa could imagine. Lisa had to make a choice. She could stay in school and follow her dream, or she could take care of her mother. It was not really a choice at all. She quit school. She got a job at the restaurant. She used every dollar she earned to pay for her mother's medicine and hospital bills. For 8 months she worked and her mother fought. But the cancer was too strong. Her mother died on a rainy Tuesday morning in March. Lisa was holding her hand. After that, Lisa could not play piano anymore. Every time she thought about music, she thought about her mother. It hurt too much. So she buried that part of herself. She became just a waitress, nothing more. Now she stood in the fancy restaurant looking at the grand piano and felt all those old feelings come rushing back. Her fingers remembered what it felt like to press the keys. Her heart remembered what it felt like to make music. Her soul remembered what it felt like to be alive. "Do not even think about it." Richard's voice cut through her thoughts like a knife. She turned around fast. He was watching her stare at the piano. His eyes were hard and cold. "I was not," Lisa started to say. "Good, keep it that way. That piano is not for you. It is for important people. You are here to work, not to daydream. Do you understand?" Lisa felt her face get hot. She felt ashamed and angry at the same time. "Yes, I understand," she said, "then get back to work. We have 200 guests coming tonight. They expect perfect service." Lisa nodded and went to the kitchen, but she could not stop thinking about the piano. It was like the piano was calling to her. She could almost hear it. She could almost feel the smooth keys under her fingers. She told herself to forget it. She told herself to just do her job. Be invisible like always. Get through the night, go home, wake up tomorrow and do it all again. That was her life now. She did not know that everything was about to change. She did not know that in just a few hours, she would make a choice that would change her whole life. She did not know that tonight, she would stop being invisible forever. The guests started arriving at 7 o'clock. They came in fancy cars. The women wore beautiful dresses that sparkled under the lights. The men wore expensive suits. They all looked like they belonged in magazines. Lisa put on her black uniform and her white apron. She picked up her notepad and her pen. She became invisible again. Just another server. Just another face in the background. She carried trays of champagne through the crowd. Her arm got tired, but she kept smiling. She cleared plates and refilled water glasses. She answered questions politely. "Yes, sir. Right away, ma'am. I will check on that for you." Nobody really saw her. They looked past her, through her, around her. She was furniture. She was wallpaper. She was nothing. But the piano sat there in the corner, waiting. And deep inside Lisa's chest, something was waking up. Something that had been asleep for 2 years. Something that refused to stay buried anymore. The night was just beginning. And nothing would ever be the same again. By 8 o'clock, the party was very busy. Lisa moved through the crowd with her tray held high. She had been working for hours and her whole body hurt. Her feet ached. Her shoulders burned. But she kept moving and kept smiling. The rich people sparkled like stars. They laughed loud and free. They did not worry about money or bills or tomorrow. Lisa watched them and felt something like sadness. She could not remember the last time she had laughed like that. Without thinking about the cost of everything, at the front of the room stood a tall man with silver hair. His name was Jonathan Winterbourne. He was very rich and very important. The whole event was for his charity foundation. Lisa had served him many times before. He had never once looked at her face. To him, she did not exist. Jonathan spoke into a microphone. His voice filled the whole room. "Thank you all for coming tonight," he said. "Thank you for your generous donations. Because of you, we can help so many people." The crowd clapped politely. They smiled. They felt good about themselves. "And now," Jonathan continued, "we have a special surprise for you tonight. The famous pianist Alexandra Chen is here to perform for us." More clapping. People whispered to each other excitedly. Lisa had heard of Alexandra Chen. Everyone had. She was one of the best piano players in the whole world. She had played in the greatest concert halls. She was a master. Lisa stood against the wall, trying to make herself small. She wanted to hear this performance so badly. She wanted to remember what real music sounded like. She gave herself permission for just this one thing. She would listen. Just listen. But then something went wrong. Jonathan's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out and looked at the screen. His smile disappeared. His face changed from happy to worried to scared. He pressed the phone to his ear and walked away from the microphone. Lisa watched him talk on the phone. She saw him shake his head. She saw him run his hand through his silver hair. Something bad had happened. She could tell. Jonathan came back to the microphone. He did not look confident anymore. He looked nervous. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "I am afraid I have bad news. Alexandra Chen's airplane has been delayed. There is bad weather. She cannot make it here tonight. There will be no performance," the room filled with disappointed sounds. People groaned and sighed. They had come to hear beautiful music, and now there would be none. Jonathan laughed, but it sounded fake. "Well," he said, "we still have this beautiful piano here. Maybe someone wants to play for us?" He was joking. It was clear he was joking. But nobody laughed. The joke fell flat and died in the air. The silence that followed was uncomfortable. People looked at each other. Nobody knew what to say, and then something inside Lisa broke open. It was like a dam bursting. Like a door she had kept locked for 2 years suddenly flying open. She looked at the piano sitting there empty and alone, and she could not stay quiet anymore. She could not stay invisible anymore. Her heart was beating so fast. Her hands were shaking. But before she could stop herself, before fear could grab her and hold her back, she stepped forward. "I can play," she said. Her voice was not very loud, but the room was so quiet that everyone heard her. Every single person turned to look at her. 200 faces, 200 pairs of eyes, all looking at the waitress in the stained uniform. Some looked surprised. Some looked confused. Some looked amused, like this was funny. Richard, her manager, looked horrified. His face turned red. He started walking toward her fast. "Lisa, get back to work right now," he hissed. His voice was angry and embarrassed, but Jonathan Winterbourne held up his hand. He stopped Richard from coming closer. Jonathan looked at Lisa with curious eyes. Maybe he was really seeing her for the first time. "You play piano?" he asked. "Yes." Lisa's voice was stronger now, even though her knees felt weak. "I mean, I used to. I studied at the conservatory before I had to leave. I can play. If you want me to." The room waited. Lisa could feel everyone judging her. She could hear what they were thinking. "A waitress? Playing piano for us? This should be interesting. This should be funny." Richard looked like he wanted to disappear, or like he wanted to fire Lisa right there in front of everyone. Jonathan looked at the crowd. Then he looked back at Lisa. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Lisa thought he would say no. She thought he would laugh and tell her to go back to serving food. She thought she had made a terrible mistake. But then Jonathan smiled. It was not his fake business smile. It was a real smile. A kind smile. "Well," he said, "why not? Let's hear what you can do." Lisa's legs felt like they did not belong to her anymore. She started walking toward the piano. The crowd moved aside to let her pass. She saw their faces, but they were all blurry now. Her heart was pounding so loud she could hear it in her ears. People were whispering. She heard some of the words. "Is this a joke? She is just a waitress. This is going to be embarrassing." Richard looked like he might have a heart attack. He was staring at her with his mouth open, but Lisa kept walking. One foot in front of the other. Toward the piano. Toward the thing she loved more than anything. Toward the thing she had given up 2 years ago. She reached the piano bench and sat down. Her uniform looked dirty and cheap next to the beautiful shining piano. She felt out of place. She felt like she did not belong. Her hands moved toward the keys, but they were shaking badly. She held them above the piano, not touching it yet. It had been 2 years. 2 whole years since she had played. What if she had forgotten how? What if her fingers did not remember? What if all that skill and all those hours of practice had disappeared? She closed her eyes and thought about her mother. She thought about all those nights when they would play together in their tiny apartment. Her mother would sit next to her and guide her hands. Her mother would encourage her when she made mistakes. "Music is not about being perfect, Lisa," her mother used to say. "Music is about truth. You play what is in your heart. You play your truth. If you do that, nothing else matters." Lisa took a deep breath. She put her fingers on the keys. The first note rang out clear and pure. It seemed to hang in the air. Time seemed to stop. Then came the second note. Then the third. Lisa began to play. She chose a piece by Chopin. A nocturne. A night song. It was one her mother had loved. It was slow and beautiful and sad. At first, her fingers felt stiff. They did not move easily. She was nervous and afraid. But then something magical happened. Her hands remembered. Her fingers remembered. The music remembered. The stiffness melted away like ice in the sun. Her hands began to move across the keys like they had never stopped. Like the 2 years had never happened. And then the music poured out of her. It was not just notes anymore. It was everything she had felt for 2 years. All the grief and pain and loss. All the times she had been treated like she did not matter. All the times she had felt invisible. All the times she had wanted to scream but had to stay quiet. It all came out through the piano. The room became completely silent. Not a sound. Not a whisper. Everyone was listening. Lisa forgot where she was. She forgot about the people watching. She forgot about Richard and Jonathan and the fancy restaurant. She forgot about everything except the music. Her whole body moved with the song. She swayed back and forth. Her face showed every emotion. Sadness and joy and anger and hope, all mixed together. She played the Chopin piece all the way through. Then, without planning to, she started playing something new. Something she was making up right there. Her own music. Her own song. It started soft and sad. Then it grew louder and stronger. It became defiant, joyful, free. Her fingers flew across the keys. The music filled the whole room. It filled the whole building. It filled her whole soul. When the last note faded into silence, Lisa kept her eyes closed. She did not want to let go. She did not want to come back to reality. For these few minutes, she had been herself again. She had been alive again. Then she opened her eyes. The room exploded with sound. Everyone was clapping and cheering. People were standing up. Some people had tears running down their faces. Lisa stood up from the piano bench. She felt dizzy and confused. The clapping was so loud it hurt her ears. All these people who had looked through her all night were now staring right at her. They were seeing her, really seeing her, and it was terrifying. Everyone was on their feet. These same people who had ignored her when she brought them food were now applauding like crazy. Their faces looked different. They looked amazed, moved. Some were crying. Jonathan Winterbourne came toward her. He was smiling big. He reached out his hand to shake hers. "That was incredible," he said. His voice was full of real emotion. "What is your name?" "Lisa. Lisa Santos." "Lisa Santos," he repeated slowly, like he wanted to remember it forever. "You said you studied at the conservatory?" The question made reality come crashing back. Lisa felt all the pain of the past 2 years hit her again. "Yes, for 1 year. Then I had to leave." "Why would you leave? With talent like that?" How could she explain? How could she make this rich man understand what it was like to have no choices, to have to give up your dreams just to survive? To watch your mother die because you could not afford to save her? "Life happened," Lisa said quietly. "I had no choice." Jonathan looked like he wanted to ask more questions. But before he could speak, a woman in a bright red dress pushed through the crowd. She was holding up her phone. "I recorded the whole thing," the woman said excitedly. "I am posting this video right now. My followers are going to go crazy when they see this." Lisa's stomach dropped. Fear rushed through her body. "Wait, please do not do that." But the woman was not listening. Her fingers were already moving fast across her phone screen. She was typing and tapping and smiling. "This is amazing content," she said. "A waitress who turns out to be an incredible piano player. This is going to be huge." Lisa recognized the woman now. Her name was Veronica Hart. She was famous on social media. Millions of people followed her online. Lisa had served her food earlier that evening. Veronica had not looked at her once. "I do not want to be on the internet," Lisa tried to say, but her voice was too quiet. Nobody heard her. More people were coming toward her now. They all wanted to talk to her. They were asking questions, taking pictures with their phones, getting close to her. Too close. "Where did you learn to play like that? Have you performed before? Are you really a waitress? Can I get a photo with you?" Lisa felt trapped. She could not breathe. There were too many people, too many eyes, too many phones pointed at her face. Then Richard appeared next to her. His face was hard to read. He put his hand on her arm. "Lisa, we need to talk kitchen right now." The crowd moved aside again. Lisa followed her manager through the swinging doors into the kitchen. The bright white lights hurt her eyes after the soft glow of the dining room. The other workers stopped what they were doing. They all stared at her. Some looked proud. Others looked jealous. Some looked confused. Richard crossed his arms over his chest. "What were you thinking?" he asked. His voice was sharp and cold. "I was thinking I could help," Lisa said. She tried to sound confident, but her voice shook. The performance was canceled. "You needed someone to play, so I played. You made a scene. You embarrassed yourself. You embarrassed this restaurant. I played piano. That is all I did. You are a waitress, Lisa, not a performer. You are not entertainment. You crossed a line tonight." The unfairness of his words hit her like a punch. Tears came to her eyes, but she blinked them back. "I am a person," she said. Her voice was stronger now. "I am a person who happens to know how to play piano." "Why is that wrong?" Richard's face softened just a little bit, but his voice stayed firm. "Because that is not how the world works. Everyone has their place, their role. You cannot just decide to be something different." Lisa stared at him. She finally understood. He was not angry because she had played badly. He was angry because she had played well. She had reminded everyone that the people who served them food and cleaned their tables were real human beings, that they had talents and dreams and worth, and that made people uncomfortable. "I am not giving up piano again," Lisa said quietly. "I already did that once. It almost killed me. I will not do it again." "Then you are giving up this job." The words hung in the air between them like a knife. Lisa felt her heart stop. "You are firing me? For playing piano? I am telling you that you cannot do both. Not here, you have to choose. Either you are a waitress who stays in her place or you are a piano player who needs to work somewhere else." Lisa looked around the kitchen. She saw the big metal dishwasher in the corner. She saw the prep tables where she chopped vegetables every day. She saw the schedule board on the wall with her name written down for 6 shifts next week. She thought about her rent that was due in 2 weeks. She thought about her bills. She thought about how hard it had been to find this job. She thought about how she had nothing saved. No safety net. No backup plan. Then she thought about how the music had felt. How alive she had felt for those few minutes. How it felt like she could finally breathe again after holding her breath for 2 years. "I need until the end of the week," she heard herself say. "To find another job." Richard nodded once. "That is fair." Lisa took off her apron. She folded it neatly and set it on the counter. Then she walked back through the swinging doors into the dining room. People were still there. They tried to talk to her. Jonathan Winterbourne was calling her name. But Lisa just kept walking. She grabbed her coat from the back room. She pushed through the front door into the cold November night. The air was freezing. It bit at her face and hands. But she welcomed it. It made her feel real. Her phone started buzzing in her pocket once, twice, then it would not stop. Buzz, 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 buzz. Over and over and over. Lisa pulled it out and looked at the screen. Her eyes went wide. Notifications were pouring in. Messages, tags, comments, hundreds of them. No, thousands of them. They kept coming and coming, and the number kept climbing. She opened her social media app. Veronica Hart had posted the video of Lisa playing piano. And people were sharing it. Everywhere. It was spreading across the internet like wildfire. The video already had 1 million views. Then 2 million. Then 3 million. Lisa watched the numbers climb. She could not believe what she was seeing. There were thousands of comments. She started reading them. "This is the most beautiful thing I have ever heard. I am crying. This touched my soul. True talent cannot be hidden. We need more of her music in this world." But there were mean comments too. "This is fake. She was never a real waitress. Publicity stunt for attention. Another person pretending to be poor for views. This is so staged it hurts." Lisa felt sick. She had not asked for any of this. She had just played piano. That was all. And now millions of people were watching her, judging her, making up stories about her. Her phone kept buzzing. She saw messages from people claiming to be agents, music producers, concert halls, record labels. She did not know which ones were real and which ones were scams. She did not know what was happening. Lisa walked home through the dark streets. Her apartment was 30 minutes away on foot. She could not afford a taxi, so she walked in the cold, her phone buzzing in her hand, her mind spinning. When she got home, she sat on her air mattress in the dark. She did not turn on the lights. She just sat there with her phone glowing in her hands, watching her life change in real time. By midnight, the video had 5 million views. By 1 in the morning, it was 7 million. Major news websites were writing articles about her. Waitress stuns internet with secret piano talent. Viral video shows hidden artists serving tables. Lisa turned off her phone. She lay down in the dark. She did not sleep. She just stared at the ceiling with the water stain that her landlord never fixed. And she wondered if she had just made the best decision of her life or the worst mistake. Morning came too soon. Lisa had not slept at all. Her eyes hurt. Her head hurt. Everything hurt. She turned her phone back on. It immediately exploded with notifications. 10,000 new ones overnight. The video now had 15 million views. Someone knocked on her door. Lisa froze. Nobody ever came to her apartment. She lived alone. She had no friends. Who could be knocking? She got up slowly and walked to the door. She looked through the peephole. On the other side stood Jonathan Winterbourne in his expensive suit, looking very out of place in the dirty hallway of her cheap apartment building. Lisa opened the door slowly. She felt embarrassed. Her hair was a mess. She was still wearing the same clothes from last night. She knew she looked terrible. "How did you find where I live?" she asked. "I asked Richard for your address," Jonathan said. He looked uncomfortable standing in the narrow hallway. His expensive suit looked wrong here among the peeling paint and broken lights. "I can be very persuasive when I need to be. May I come in?" Lisa wanted to say no. She did not want this rich man to see how she lived. But she was too tired to argue. She stepped aside. Jonathan walked into her tiny studio apartment. His eyes moved around the room. Lisa watched him take it all in. The air mattress on the floor with the thin blanket. The plastic crates she used as furniture. The hot plate in the corner that served as her kitchen. The water stain on the ceiling that kept getting bigger. The single window with the broken lock. This was her home. This was all she could afford. Jonathan was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft. "I do not understand," he said. "Someone with your talent. Someone who plays piano like that. How did you end up here? How did you end up serving tables?" Lisa felt anger flash through her. "You really do not know?" she asked. "You really cannot imagine? Help me understand." So Lisa told him everything. She told him about her mother getting cancer. About the hospital bills that came in the mail every day. Bills that cost more than most people make in a year. About having to choose between finishing music school and taking care of her mother. About working 2 jobs to pay for medicine that did not even work in the end. About holding her mother's hand when she died. About selling everything they owned, including the piano. About dropping out of the conservatory. About taking the first job she could find. "I would do it all again," Lisa said. Her voice was thick with emotion. "My mother mattered more than any dream. But after she died, I could not play piano anymore. Every time I touched the keys, I thought about her. It hurt too much. So I just stopped. I became what I needed to be to survive. A waitress. Nothing more." Jonathan listened to everything. He did not interrupt. When Lisa finished talking, he was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. "My daughter was sick when she was young," he said. "Cancer, leukemia. She was only 7 years old. We had the money to save her. We could afford the best doctors, the best hospital, the best treatments. And she lived. She's healthy now." He paused. Lisa could see pain in his eyes even though his daughter had survived. "But when I was at that hospital with her," Jonathan continued, "I saw other families. Families who did not have money. I saw parents who had to choose between paying for treatment and keeping their homes. I saw children who did not get the care they needed because their parents could not afford it. I saw people destroyed by medical bills." He looked at Lisa. "That is why I started the Winterbourne Foundation. To help people who should not have to make those terrible choices. I have been raising money for years. Hosting events. Writing checks. Trying to make a difference." "That is good," Lisa said quietly. "That is important work." "But last night," Jonathan said, "you did something I have never been able to do. You made all those rich people feel it. Not just understand it in their heads, but feel it in their hearts. They felt what it means to have something precious and lose it. They felt what it means to bury your gifts just to survive." Lisa did not know what to say. "I want to offer you something," Jonathan said. "Not charity." "I am not offering you charity. I am offering you an opportunity, a chance. The foundation gives scholarships to artists who had to stop their training because of money problems. Full scholarships. We pay for everything. Tuition, books, living expenses, everything." Lisa's heart started pounding. She could not breathe. "What?" "You would go back to the conservatory. You would finish your education. You would become the pianist you were meant to be. And when you graduate, you would perform at our events. Not as a curiosity. Not as a viral video. But as an artist. A real artist. You would help us tell stories like yours. Help people understand." Tears filled Lisa's eyes. She tried to blink them away, but they kept coming. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would you do this for me?" "Because last night you reminded me why I do this work. You reminded me what it is all about. And because," Jonathan's voice got thick with emotion, "because my daughter is finishing her last year at the conservatory right now. She is studying violin. She is healthy and happy and following her dreams. Every time I watch her play, I think about all the children who did not get that chance. All the talented people who had to give up their gifts because life was unfair." He looked directly into Lisa's eyes. "You are one of those people, Lisa. Let me help you get your gift back. Let me help you become who you were meant to be." Lisa could not stop crying now. She put her face in her hands and sobbed. All the grief and pain and loss from the past 2 years came pouring out. She cried for her mother. She cried for her lost dreams. She cried for all the times she had felt invisible and worthless. Jonathan waited quietly. He did not try to stop her or make her feel bad for crying. He just waited. When Lisa finally stopped, she wiped her eyes. "Yes," she said. Her voice was rough from crying, but it was strong. "Yes, I will do it." "Thank you," Jonathan smiled. "There is one condition," he said. "One thing you have to promise me." "What?" "When you are successful, And you will be successful, Lisa. I need you to remember this feeling. Remember what it was like to be invisible. Remember what it was like to have people look through you like you were nothing, because the world is full of people like you. People with incredible gifts who are serving tables or cleaning floors or working night shifts. People who are doing whatever they have to do to survive. Most of them will never get a viral video. Most of them will never get a second chance. What are you asking me to do? Lisa asked. I am asking you to see them. Really see them? The way I am seeing you now. And when you can, when you are able, help them the way I am helping you. Give back, pay it forward. Promise me. Lisa thought about the other servers at the Sterling Rose. She thought about the cook who wrote poetry on his breaks. She thought about the dishwasher who was teaching himself computer programming by watching videos on his phone. She thought about all the invisible people in the world. All the hidden gifts. All the buried dreams. I promise, she said. I promise I will never forget. And I will help others when I can. Jonathan reached out and shook her hand. Then we have a deal. Over the next few weeks, Lisa's life changed completely. The video of her playing piano kept spreading. It reached 20 million views, then 30 million. News shows called her. Radio stations wanted to interview her. Magazine writers wanted to tell her story, but Lisa said no to most of them. She was done being a viral sensation. She was done being entertainment for people on the internet. She wanted to focus on music. Real music. She started classes at the conservatory again. It felt like coming home. Her professors remembered her. They welcomed her back with open arms. They were amazed that she had stayed so good even after 2 years without playing. You have something special, Lisa, her piano professor told her. You do not just play notes. You play emotions. You play truth. That is rare. That is precious. Lisa practiced every day for hours. Her fingers got stronger. Her skills got sharper. But more than that, her soul got lighter. She felt alive again. She felt like herself. The other students at the conservatory were kind to her. Some recognized her from the viral video, but most of them treated her like any other student. She made friends. Real friends. People who understood her love of music. She moved out of her terrible apartment. The scholarship paid for a small but clean room near the school. It had a real bed and a kitchen that worked. It even had a practice room with a piano just for her. Every night before she went to sleep, Lisa thought about her mother. She wished her mother could see her now. She wished she could share this happiness. But she felt her mother's presence. She felt her mother's love. And she knew her mother would be proud. 6 months passed. Then a year. Lisa worked harder than she had ever worked in her life. She practiced until her fingers hurt. She studied music theory and composition. She performed in small concerts for the school. She grew stronger and more confident every day, and she never forgot her promise to Jonathan. She volunteered at community centers, teaching piano to kids who could not afford lessons. She gave free concerts at homeless shelters and senior homes. She used her gift to help others, just like Jonathan had helped her. But she did not know that the biggest moment of her life was still coming. She did not know that in just a few months, everything she had worked for would lead to something incredible, something that would let her keep her promise in a way she had never imagined. 3 years passed like a dream. Lisa graduated from the conservatory at the top of her class. Her professors said she was one of the most talented students they had ever taught, not just because she could play difficult music, but because she could make people feel things when she played. She had something that could not be taught. She had heart. After graduation, Lisa started performing at concerts, small ones at first, then bigger ones. Her reputation grew. People came to hear her play because they had seen the viral video years ago. They came because they were curious. But they came back because her music touched their souls. Lisa never forgot where she came from. She never forgot what it felt like to be invisible. Between concerts, she taught free piano lessons to kids from poor neighborhoods. She performed at fundraisers for families with medical debt. She donated money to help other artists who could not afford school. And she stayed close to Jonathan Winterbourne. He had become like a father to her. They talked often. He came to her concerts. He was proud of her and she was grateful to him. One day in November, 3 years after that night at the Sterling Rose, Jonathan called her with exciting news. Lisa, he said, how would you like to perform at Carnegie Hall? Lisa almost dropped her phone. Carnegie Hall was one of the most famous concert halls in the world. Every musician dreamed of playing there. "Are you serious?" she asked, completely serious. "The foundation is hosting a major fundraiser there. We are launching a new program. Full scholarships for artists from low-income families. No strings attached. We want to help hundreds of people like you, and we want you to be the main performer that night." Lisa started crying. She seemed to cry a lot these days, but they were happy tears, grateful tears. "Yes," she said. "Yes, of course I will do it." The months leading up to the concert were busy and stressful. Lisa practiced every single day. She wanted this performance to be perfect, not for herself, but for all the people out there who needed hope, for all the invisible people who needed to know that their dreams still mattered. Jonathan had another surprise for her. "I bought tickets for all your former co-workers from the Sterling Rose," he told her. "The servers, the cooks, the dishwashers, everyone. They will all be there to see you play." Lisa was so moved she could hardly speak. "Thank you," she whispered. Finally, the night arrived. Lisa stood backstage at Carnegie Hall in a beautiful black dress that the foundation had bought for her. Her hands were shaking. Her heart was pounding. This was the biggest moment of her life. She peeked through the curtain at the audience. The hall was completely full. Over 2,000 people. She saw Jonathan sitting in the front row with his daughter, who is now a professional violinist. She saw her professors from the conservatory. She saw journalists and music critics and wealthy donors. And in the third row she saw them, her old co-workers from the restaurant. She recognized every face. The young cook who wrote poetry, the older server who had 3 kids, the dishwasher who was studying computers. They were all dressed up in nice clothes, looking around in wonder. Many of them had never been to a place like this. Lisa's heart swelled with love for them. They had always been invisible to the world, but not to her. "Not anymore," the announcer's voice boomed through the hall. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lisa Santos." Lisa walked onto the stage. The applause was thunderous. The lights were bright and warm. The piano waited for her, grand and beautiful. She sat down at the bench. She placed her hands on the keys. And for just a moment she thought about her mother. She thought about that night 3 years ago when she took a chance. She thought about every person who had ever felt invisible or worthless. Then she began to play. The music that poured from the piano was like nothing she had ever played before. It told a story. Her story. It started with sadness and loss. The death of her mother. The death of her dreams. The feeling of being invisible. But then the music changed. It grew stronger, more hopeful. It spoke of kindness received, of second chances, of dreams reborn, of all the people who lifted each other up when the world tried to push them down. Lisa played pieces by the great composers, Chopin and Beethoven and Rachmaninoff, but she also played her own music, songs she had written in the middle of the night when she could not sleep, songs that came from the deepest part of her soul. As she played, she saw people in the audience crying. She saw them moved. She saw them changed. Because the music was not just beautiful notes. It was truth. It was real human emotion. It was everything that words could not say. When she played the final note, the hall was silent for a moment. A perfect, complete silence. Then the audience exploded. Everyone stood up. They clapped and cheered, and some of them were crying. The applause went on for 5 full minutes. Lisa stood and bowed. Tears ran down her face, but she was smiling. She looked at her old co-workers in the third row. They were all standing and clapping harder than anyone. The cook had tears streaming down his face. The older server was smiling so big. The dishwasher was wiping his eyes. She had done this for them. For all of them. To show them that invisible people matter, that dreams do not die, that there is always hope. After the concert, there was a reception. Lisa talked to dozens of people. Donors who wanted to give money to the foundation. Young artists who wanted advice. Journalists who wanted to write stories. But the conversation she would remember most happened near the end of the night. A young woman approached her nervously. She was wearing a simple dress and she looked out of place among all the wealthy people. "Miss Santos," she said quietly, "I am one of the new scholarship recipients. My name is Claire. I play cello. I have been working at a diner in Brooklyn for 3 years. When I saw your video 3 years ago, it gave me hope. It made me think maybe I could have a second chance too." Lisa took both of Claire's hands in hers. You are going to do amazing things, she said. I know it. Do not ever let anyone make you feel invisible. Do not ever forget your worth. Claire's eyes filled with tears. Thank you for everything. For showing us that it is possible. After Claire walked away, Jonathan appeared next to Lisa. You kept your promise, he said. What do you mean? You promised to remember, to see the invisible people, to help them when you could. Look around this room, Lisa. Because of you, because of your story, we raised enough money tonight to give full scholarships to 50 artists, 50 people who were about to give up their dreams. You did that, Lisa looked around the room. She saw Claire talking to another young artist. She saw donors writing checks. She saw her old co-workers taking pictures and laughing, maybe for the first time feeling like they belonged in a place like this. It is not just me, Lisa said. You helped me, and now we are helping others. That is how it should work. We lift each other up. Exactly, Jonathan said. That is exactly right. Lisa thought about that night 3 years ago at the Sterling Rose. She thought about how scared she had been, how invisible she had felt, how she almost did not step forward and offer to play. If she had stayed silent that night, none of this would have happened. She would still be serving tables, still buried alive, still invisible, but she had found the courage to step into the light. And when she did, someone had seen her. Someone had helped her. And now she was helping others. The cycle of kindness continued. The circle was complete. As Lisa left Carnegie Hall that night, she looked up at the stars. She felt her mother's presence stronger than ever. She felt at peace. She was no longer invisible. But more importantly, she was using her visibility to shine light on others, to show the world that every person matters, that every dream matters, that no one should ever be made to feel worthless. Lisa Santos had been a waitress who stunned the elite with her piano performance. But that was not the real story. The real story was about what happened after, about promises kept, about second chances given and received, about the power of one person seeing another person and saying, "You matter. Your gifts matter. Let me help you." That was the moment that changed everything forever. Not the performance itself, but everything that came after. The ripple spreading outward in an ever-widening circle of hope and possibility. And somewhere in the city that night, another person who felt invisible was watching a video on their phone. A video of Lisa playing piano 3 years ago, and they were thinking, maybe my dreams are not dead after all. Maybe there is still hope for me. The music continued. The circle grew wider, and the world became a little bit brighter, one invisible person at a time.